How many grams of 2.5% hydrocortisone cream should be mixed with 56 grams of 0.25% hydrocortisone cream to prepare 1% cream? So you got a 2.5% cream and a 0.25% cream, and they want you to make a 1% cream. So the first thing I'm going to do is to find out the amount of drug that we currently have. So this is before adding the 2.5% cream. Right, so what do we have so far? We have 56 grams of a 0.25% hydrocortisone cream. So that's what we already have now. So I'm going to calculate the amount of drug in that. So 56 grams, multiply that by the percent strength, 0.25%, which is the same thing as saying 0.25 grams of the drug over 100 grams of the mix. Right, I know to use this because this 0.25%, it could mean 0.25 grams of drug over 0.5 grams of mix, or it could also mean 100 grams of mix over 0.25 grams of drug. The reason why I know to use this one instead of this one is because I want the grams of mix in the denominator, because that's the total amount of everything we have, 56 grams. Because this 56 grams is really 56 grams of the mix, because that's the total amount of the cream. And then we want to calculate the amount of drug. That's why I do it like this, because I want grams of mix to cancel out grams of mix. So that equals 0.14 grams of drug. So now that we have a current amount of drug, I'm going to use the formula. Well, it's not really a formula, but it's a fraction. So the amount of drug over the total amount of mix, I'm going to force that to 1% because I want to prepare a 1% cream. So the first thing I'm going to do is denote a variable. N equals the amount of 2.5% cream to add. Right, because that's how much, because we're trying to add this 2.5% cream amount to this already 56 grams of 0.25% hydrocortisone cream, because we have to use this no matter what, and we have to use, and then we're adding an unknown amount of 2.5% hydrocortisone cream. So I'm going to set this to 2.05% times it by N, because this is the amount of drug So this 2.5% times N, it represents the amount of drug being added, because we don't know what this value is of N. We don't know how much amount. This N represents the amount of the cream to add. We don't know how much to add so far. And then add that to what we know already. We calculate to be 0.14 grams of drug. This is of the 0.25%, because we have to use this 56 grams of the 2.5% cream. That's what I calculated here earlier. So that's why it's here. I added to this unknown amount. I'm going to set this over to 56 grams, because this is our total volume. Our total mix is 56 grams plus N, because this is the unknown amount of this 2.5% cream that we're adding. And then set that equal to 1%, because we want to calculate a 1% cream. So now I just solve for this. So 2.5% times N is 0.25 N plus 0.14, all divided by 56 plus N. And then I'm just going to convert this percentage to a decimal. So 1% is the same thing as 0.01. And then you just solve for this algebraically. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 56 plus N over here and multiply it by over here. So that should give me 0.25 N plus 0.14. Set that equal to 0.56 plus 0.01 N. Right, so I just multiply this side by 56 plus N. This quantity here, I brought it over here. And then you just solve for N. So 0.15N equals 0.42. I just subtracted this 0.01N to this side, and then I also subtracted 0.14 to this side, and that's why I got this over here. So when I solve for that, my N should be 28 grams. So this 28 grams is the amount of 2.5% cream to be added. Right? That's my final answer. That's it, I'm done. 28 grams. So now I'm just gonna double check to make sure I'm right. So whenever I double check my work, I don't go through the exact same steps because I'm probably gonna make the same exact mistake if I made one. So instead, what I'm gonna do is to calculate the amount of drug we have in both the 0.25% plus my 2.5%, and I'm gonna see if it adds up correctly to make the 1% cream. Right, so I'm gonna basically be doing this. So this 2.5% amount is what I calculate to be 28 grams. And then this 0.25% amount, I already know it's 56 grams. And then I'm gonna see if it adds up to 1% cream. That's what I'm gonna do in this double check here. So I have 28 grams here. This represents the amount of the 2.5% cream that I'm adding. So I'm gonna multiply it by 2.5 grams of drug divided by 100 grams of mix. Because I just converted 2.5% to this, which is 2.5 grams over 100 grams of mix. So this grams of mix cancel out this 28 grams of mix. So that equals 0.7 grams of drug. That's from the 2.5%. So now I'm going to use this 0.7 grams of drug, add it to this 56 grams of 0.25%, which I already calculated to be 0.14 grams of drug. And then if I add these together, that equals 0.84 grams of drug total. Total is the combination of this plus this, because this 0.14 grams is from the 0.25%, and then this 0.7 grams of drug is from the 2.5% hydrocortisone cream. So now I have this total amount of drug in the whole mixture. So now I'm going to put this 0.84 grams of drug and then put it over the total amount of the mixture, which is 56 grams plus 28 grams. 56 grams is what we started with, 28 grams is what I calculated. And then that equals 0.84 grams of drug over 84 grams of the mixture. And so that equals 0.01, which is the same thing as 1%. So this is how I know for sure that this answer is correct. 28 grams of the 2.5% cream added. I know for sure this is right because when I calculated it to be the total amount of drug, I calculated the final concentration to be 1%. So now I know for sure I'm right. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments.